Hey everyone, it's Matt here, and welcome back to another episode of Commander Adventures. If you haven't seen them already, I'd recommend checking out the spoilers for Ikoria. There's some crazy cards in there, and we're supposed to have the entire Commander set by the end of the weekend. Of course, thanks as always for subscribing, and for being here to see this video. Now, let's go ahead and jump into player introductions. First off this week, we have Spencer, playing his Varina Lich Queen deck. It's Esper Zombie combo, which uses Varina's ability to dig through his deck. He kept Dread Return, a Plains, a Swamp, Corpse Knight, Morphic Pool, Altar's Reap, and Sidisi Undead Vizier. We then have Devin, playing his Trostani Selesnya's Voice deck, which is focused on non-token creature tokens, and was played once on the channel already by Will. Devin went down to 6 to keep Explore, Rootborn Defenses, Terastodon, Emeria Shepherd, a Forest, and Canopy Vista. Then comes Josh, trying to hug his way to victory again with Kynaios and Tiro. He went to 6 as well to keep Opal Palace, Croson Verge, Ash Barrens, Exploration, Shalai Voice of Plenty, and Krufix God of Horizons. Finally, we have RJ, looking to burn out his opponents with his Torbran Thane of Red Fell deck. It's a mono red burn deck, with some neat tricks to keep things from being so straightforward, and he kept a trio of mountains, Breath of Daragaz, Sunbird's Invocation, Sin Prodder, and Mana Barbs. Spencer starts us off. He drops a Morphic Pool and casts a Gravecrawler before passing turn. Devin drops a tapped Canopy Vista and passes as well. Josh drops a Croson Verge, and then RJ closes out round 1 with a Mountain. Spencer drops a Plains. He casts the tapped Sky Diamond and passes. Devin drops a Command Tower and casts an Explore. He draws a card and plays a tapped Mirror Pool before passing off. Josh land cycles an Ash Barrens to grab a mountain to hand. He drops a tapped Prairie Stream and passes to RJ. RJ drops another mountain and casts a Thrill of Possibility, discarding a Breath of Daragaz and drawing 2 before passing turn. Spencer drops a Swamp and casts his commander Varina. He moves to combat and hits RJ with Gravecrawler. Varina triggers, and Spencer draws and gains a life, before discarding a Dread Return and passing off. Devin drops a Forest and passes. Josh drops a Mountain. He cracks Croson Verge and goes to grab both a Canopy Vista and a Stomping Ground before passing off. RJ drops a Mountain. He casts the Citadel of Pain and passes. Spencer moves straight to combat and hits RJ with both Gravecrawler and Varina. Varina triggers, and Spencer gains 2 and draws 2, before discarding 2. He drops a tapped Temple of Silence, and leaves the card he scries on top. He then casts a Corpse Knight, and passes, taking a damage from Citadel of Pain at his end step. Devin drops a Temple of the False God. He then casts an Uvenwald Hydra, and goes to grab a tapped Scattered Grows as it ETBs. He then passes off. Josh drops an Opal Palace. He casts the Kings, which enters with a +1/+1 counter thanks to Opal Palace. He then moves to end step, and in response to the King's trigger, Spencer casts an Altar's Reap, sacrificing Gravecrawler. Spencer draws 2, and then Josh draws to the Kings and doesn't put in a land. Before RJ, Spencer, and Devin all choose to draw. RJ drops a Mountain. He casts a Mana Barbs, and now everyone takes damage whether they tap their lands or not. RJ then passes off. Spencer untaps, and casts a Frantic Search on his upkeep. He draws 2, before remembering the 3 damage from Mana Barbs. He then discards 2, and untaps 3 lands, before drawing for turn. He then checks creatures in graveyards before casting an Exhume. He returns a Sidisi, and no one else has a creature to return. The table then rewinds and allows him to cast Gravecrawler before casting Exhume. He takes 3 from tapping 3 lands, and then exploits Gravecrawler with Sidisi, and goes to tutor up a card. He does so, and then each of his opponents loses 2 life from Corpse Knight. He recasts Gravecrawler, and they all take a damage again. Spencer then passes off, before casually mentioning he could have won the game on his turn. Devin cracks Mirror Pool to create a token copy of Uvenwald Hydra, before taking 4 from Mana Barbs. He brings in a tapped Reliquary Tower, and passes off, taking 1 from Citadel of Pain. Josh drops a Field of Ruin. He then takes 5 to cast a Volcanic Offering. He blows up Spencer's Temple, and chooses Devin, who blows up Spencer's Morphic Pool. They then deal 7 to both Varina and Sidisi, all in an effort to set Spencer back, since he said he could have won. Josh then moves to end step and draws to the Kings, before each other player draws as well. RJ taps 4 to cast his commander Torbran before passing off. At RJ's end step, Spencer casts a Mystical Tutor and puts a Revoke Existence on top of his library. Spencer casts an Arcane Signet, taking 6 from Mana Barbs in the process. He follows up with a Deranged Assistant and passes turn. Devin takes 6 damage to cast a Sundering Growth to destroy Mana Barbs. He also populates his Uvenwald Hydra token and goes to grab a tapped Sunpetal Grove with its ETB. As Spencer reminds everyone of the damage from Corpse Knight when Deranged Assistant entered. Devin plays a Tranquil Thicket for turn, and then moves to combat, swinging 16 damage at Spencer. Spencer blocks with Corpse Knight, and then takes 8 damage. In his main 2, Devin then casts an Altar of Dementia, and takes a total of 5 damage from Citadel of Pain at his end step. Josh casts a Pier's Whim. He names himself, Spencer, and Devin as friends, and RJ as a foe. Then all of his friends go to grab a land tapped, while his only foe sacrifices an artifact or enchantment. Devin grabs Thespian Stage, Spencer grabs a Concealed Courtyard, and Josh grabs an Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth. Josh then casts an Exploration, and moves to his end step. He draws, and puts in his own copy of Thespian Stage, before everyone else decides to draw. RJ drops a mountain. He casts Azozu the Punisher, and passes off to Spencer. Spencer activates Deranged Assistant, and mills a card, as part of the cost to recast Varina. He then passes off to Devin. Devin casts a Fierce Empath, and goes to grab a Nyxbloom Ancient to hand as it ETBs. He follows up by casting Trostani, and passing. Josh drops a Grove of the Burn Willows, and takes 4 from Zozu in the process. He makes Thespian Stage become a copy of Prairie Stream, and then casts a Kazul Tyrant of the Cliffs. He then moves to end step, and draws from the Kings, before RJ drops a mountain, and Spencer and Devin each draw. RJ casts a Sunbird's Invocation, and passes. Spencer takes 4 to put in a tapped Godless Shrine. He then casts a Whispering Madness. And in response, Devin casts a Rootborn Defenses, giving his creatures indestructible until end of turn, and populating his Uvenwald Hydra token. He brings in a tapped Rogue's Passage, and then loses 2 life, before gaining 10 from Trostani. Each player then wheels, and as everyone wheels, we'll be right back.
Alive! It's alive! It's alive!
After the wheel, Spencer ciphers Whispering Madness onto Varina, and passes off. Devin moves to combat, and eliminates Spencer. In main 2, he casts an Eternal Witness to bring back Sundering Growth. He casts it to destroy Sunbird's Invocation, and populates the Uvenwald Hydra token again. He grabs a tapped Ghost Quarter and gains 11 life from Trostani before remembering his life gain from Eternal Witness. He then passes off. Josh casts the Goblin Diplomats. He follows up with a Forbidden Orchard and takes 4 in the process. He casts a Smothering Tithe, and in response, Devin casts a Momentous Fall, sacrificing his untapped Uvenwald Hydra token as a part of the cost. He gains 11 after drawing 11, and then Smothering Tithe hits. Josh then casts the Vow of Lightning, enchanting the original Uvenwald Hydra. He then moves to end step and draws a card before putting in a Mystic Monastery and taking 4. And then RJ drops a Mountain for 2 damage, and Devin drops a Forest for 4. RJ untaps. He casts a Harsh Mentor and follows up with a Goblin Chain Whirler. Devin responds and takes 4 damage to make his Thespian stage a copy of Temple of the False God. Chain Whirler then hits and does 3 to each of RJ's opponents and each creature they control. RJ then passes off. Devin drops a Plains and takes 4 damage, as Josh remembers to make a treasure from both Devin and RJ's unpaid Smothering Tithe triggers. Devin then generous gifts Kazul, and Josh creates a 3/3 elephant. Devin follows up with a Helm of the Host, and equips it to the original Uvenwald Hydra, taking 4 from Harsh Mentor in the process. He populates an Uvenwald Hydra token, and goes to grab a tapped Forest, taking 4 from Zozu, and his life gain from Trostani, and another damage trigger from Harsh Mentor. He moves to combat, and Helm of the Host triggers, creating a token copy of Uvenwald Hydra, which has haste. Devin goes to grab a tapped Forest, and loses 4 life before gaining 15. Before declaration of attackers, Josh tries to get RJ's spirits up, while casting a Comet Storm where X is 1. He pings Devin in the face for 1, and then dies to a horde of Uvenwald Hydras. In main 2, Devin sacrifices all of his Hydras to mill RJ for 90, taking 24 damage from Harsh Mentor in the process. RJ doesn't run any reshufflers, so he'll ultimately lose on his draw. But he does hit Devin for 4 on his end step, before moving to his turn, and decking out, and giving Devin the win.